We'll start the Recreation Committee meeting May 1st, 2023 at 6:09 p.m. We'll have members present. Do we want to start at the end there?
Benjamin Norton.
Mary Anastasio.
Courtney Boudreau.
David Broll.
Mark Sands.
All right, that covers that portion. We are now official. Reading of the previous meeting's minutes. I could not find them in my email.
I did not get them out in time.
Okay,
I have
excellent.
to the group, so that's all on me.
Yep. And I have,
To the group, I apologize.
we'll,
By the end of this week, the 3 sets.
all right, yeah, because I have,
I have copies of things, but I don't have, I can get it sent out.
and I have an old one that has to be done
So I
too.
make a motion, we table the minutes, approval of the previous meeting minutes until the next scheduled meeting.
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, approved. Bills, or correspondence, anyone?
Correspondence, we did get a letter, which is going to be from some Triton Regional Middle School students regarding an issue they'd like to bring forward. I did put it on the agenda under new business. When we get to concluded with our bills and other correspondence, I respectfully ask that we suspend our order of operation and move their presentation up.
Makes sense.
Second? Approved?
Aye.
Okay. All right, we will do that. All right, bills and claims.
So, the bills that we submitted on the warrant for this month was the Townsend bill and the Mellow bill.
Okay.
And also the final submission from Council on Aging on the pickleball, what's the word? Box or storage.
Yep.
Storage
Okay.
container for the pickleball
Excellent.
equipment.
Excellent.
No further word on the, I did not see it in the last ledger. The seasonal charge to the rec committee for the maintenance of the field.
I didn't see that. I didn't see a number of items that I would have thought we should see by now.
Okay, because I know you sent me and I
Yeah.
responded to some. If we could follow up with the town accountant to make sure that we've done what we needed to do.
All right, I just have one question from last month. We talked about flag purchases.
I think that DPW purchased it, and they'll charge us directly.
Should I follow up on that? I'm just not sure who's following up on that. I'm happy to, I just,
I would go through Julie,
yeah,
and then ask her to follow up, yes.
Yeah, I think what they'll do is, I know what they're gonna do, they'll buy them, and they may move the cost on to us, and
Yeah.
they may absorb it, I'm not really sure.
yeah,
We'll see what happens.
yeah, I'm just not sure either, so I'll follow up with Julie on that one.
Excellent.
Okay.
I think that covers bills and claims.
I just have I don't know if this goes here, but a invoice hasn't been able to be generated for part of Triton Youth Soccer because in terms of reservation in my rec, because, and I did follow up and email Jason today, but the system, as I've said before, doesn't let you book something officially until you have copies of the Corey and the proof of
Yep.
insurance, and I've asked for them to be uploaded into the system just so I can, or emailed to me so I can
Put them in.
upload them.
Yeah.
John got back to me for lacrosse, but
Yeah.
not Jason yet. So that's kind of an outstanding, if we've held the dates, we voted on them, the whole shebang, but,
It just has to be paid for.
yeah, and I think, I know that Julie and or Lindsay sees the invoices when they come in as well, so I can touch base with them about making sure that everybody else's is all set, but that one hasn't been able to go
So
through.
the Corey and the insurance,
Yes,
okay.
But
Okay.
you've talked to them, right? So they know that they.
Well, I did email with Jason,
Okay.
I emailed a while ago, and then I emailed them again today, and
Okay.
I haven't heard back, but
Okay.
hopefully I'll at least respond to my email for today.
Okay. All right. I think we will now skip old business, we'll move into new business, so we can have this discussion about the,
So this will be official, I make a motion, we suspend the order of our operation from old business to new business, specifically for the Triton Youth students to make their presentation.
I think we did, we agreed on that, but yes, we're gonna do that again, I'll second that. Any discussion?
No?
All approved?
Yes.
All right.
Please come up to the area here and state your name and where you're from.
Well, our names are Macy Hickley, Emily Geis, and Olivia O'Leary. We are 8th grade students at Triton Regional Middle School, and we are currently researching about adding trash cans at Mantor Fields for our civics class. The trash cans will be accessible for the sports team visitors as well as spectators.
All three of us use this field regularly and feel that it should be clean without trash among the field. The trash cans will be accessible for sports teams, visitors, as well as spectators. We would like to consider placing a minimum of 3 trash cans around Manchester Fields, 2 near the rec building and 1 near the back.
Our fellow classmate Caleb Murray is working to add a snack shack at Mantor's, so we feel that trash cans will be vital in keeping Mantor's clean if this goes through. If there are any further questions, please feel free to ask us. Thank you for your time.
I think it's a great idea. We just have to discuss that with our Department of Public Works, because they end up cleaning the place. And so, from my point of view, I think it's a great idea. Again, I think it's just logistics, and we'll have to, anyone else have a discussion on this?
So what you're suggesting is making trash cans a little bit more readily available for those at like the basketball court?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess the only sort of thought about that would be when they become full, we do have a dumpster there, and the ability to have someone take it from the ballpark, I mean from the basketball court or the other section, and put it into the dumpster. That would be the only sort of hiccup.
Currently, the Recreation Committee has a contract with Mellow Disposal. They come on Wednesdays, and they, using their trucks, they do the dumpster every Wednesday from basically April 1st to the end of November. And the question I think David's asking, and I'm going to ask the same question, who would be responsible for getting the trash from the small barrels? And you may not have an answer to that right now, and that's okay, that's something to look into.
Yep.
You know, so how does that logistics work? So that's, again, I'm not looking for an answer now.
Yeah, so
maybe-
essentially what happens is we have, you saw the dumpster out there all the time. And so it's a great idea to have the barrels, but we have to figure out from our end, when they get full, so they don't start falling over the top, who would bring it to, from the locations, and then if it's okay to dump in the dumpster, and then the truck comes once a week or whenever it does, lifts it up, dumps it, and then we start anew. So we just have to figure out if that's possible. That's sort of covered.
Who would purchase you would ask us to purchase the,
Yes.
okay. So what you're basically saying, you would like to improve Central Street recreational area by adding additional places. Okay. And you said your associate is looking at another project for the field?
Yes, Caleb Murray is looking to add a snack shack in an open room, so that would make more trash.
Oh. Okay. May I suggest having her approach us as well, because that would be, that would come under our jurisdiction as well?
Which is probably a great idea.
Yeah, because we do have an unused area in that building that's designed.
Just for that reason?
Just for that reason.
It's got a little sliding window. You charge lots of money for Cokes. So
So
win-win.
yes, so what I would like to do, what I suggest that we do, is let's go back and research that question. Let's meet with DPW and hear their concerns, and see what their concerns are. At that point in time, we can see if it goes forward. If there's serious questions that we can't answer, or there's obstacles you may want to reconsider, or if not, we can come back and continue this conversation.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
So from our point of view, it's a great idea. It's just logistically how we, like anything that makes that place look nicer, we're all for. So, and it's a great thought. We had thought about it before, but we never really got things going on it. So you guys coming up with that idea is a great idea.
Keep them coming.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, ladies.
All right.
I make a motion we return back to the scheduled order on the agenda, going back to old business.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion on that before we, okay, no? All right, let's do it. Going back to old business, update on pickleball.
They will be, unfortunately Cindy was unable to make it tonight, but the courts are ready, and I believe they're going to be in use this week.
Oh, that's
Starting tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Tomorrow. Lines have been laid out, nice purple lines. They got 3 courts ready to rock and roll. It looks like we're going to have good weather for it, so.
When? We gonna have good weather? When?
So starting on Saturday.
Okay,
This week
I'm
is not
like-
great.
To me, good weather isn't
I know.
yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
brutal,
Yeah.
but
So that's excellent.
Saturday.
all right, excellent.
I wanted to ask her while she was here, that's another one, last meeting I emailed her the same thing. For some reason, I tried to look, like, obviously it's, the Council of Aging items have been booked a million times, but for some reason, again, it's being blocked for these particular pickleball dates.
Is it blocked because there's not the paperwork that we
Exactly.
require, which we don't require? So we have to figure out a way
Yeah.
Yeah. To take that part away.
Yep.
to, override the system. and that
Yeah,
might-
okay, I'll call, okay, so we don't require
It's from the.
from
town.
the, right,
Yeah, it's
So
our
there is-
insurance.
Yeah, should be some way to be like NA, not applicable.
Right.
applicable,
Okay.
just, yeah.
okay, I'll call them tomorrow and find out.
Excellent. Master plan and proposal update, consultation, I thought that Chris was gonna be here tonight. Doesn't look like he is, so I think we will skip that one. I will call him again and see if we can catch him on the next meeting,
Okay.
so that we get that going. Review any usage applications, if any, that's old business.
Yeah, because in the future, going forward, if any, see, we're not gonna know, I'm not gonna know when I'm drafting this if we have any applications that are gonna be pending. They're gonna be coming into Courtney, and if this goes out a week beforehand, we might get something on that Wednesday after it's been posted. So it's more of a general, hey, does somebody need to use it? Because the field house and the basketball courts are on a shorter timeline compared to the fields. Fields are done seasonally,
Yep.
and the other stuff will be done on a
As
more,
needed. Yeah.
more accelerated request.
Yep.
So that's gonna, I'm leaving that in as a general.
Just so-
If there's anything,
Did you hear anything?
you'll be able to forward it to us so that we're all aware of it, if you can, or at least David.
Yep, okay.
So that we know if anything's coming in.
Updated facilities policy, that's the policy that we brought to the,
Yes.
select board. So Mark and I, went forward to the last select board meeting, and, they approved it. I try to thank everybody.
Past and present.
Yeah, because it was a lot of work that everyone worked on. So I think it's, as I checked Mark email, it is now in the system, right?
It is listed on our website.
It's like a new policy.
The new
Nice.
policy, so it's technically in effect because it's now available to the general public.
Good.
So, one less thing off the list.
Congratulations all.
Yeah.
Past and present.
Yeah.
future,
in future.
because they're gonna deal with the headaches that we create.
Yeah. Update on online reservation portal. Is, I guess you're just gonna have to try to do that part of it will be the,
Yeah, how to
Yeah.
bypass that
Yep.
particular
yep.
requirement.
And I think that all this stuff, you know, it's all new and fresh, and, you'll figure it all out, and, I'll be gone, and you can deal with it.
Yeah, the manual will come out, you'll make a manual for this?
Yeah, so we'll all.
Yep.
Thank you for your work on it.
Yeah.
No, they're, when you call, well, they're very helpful when they answer, but they usually at least call back. So
Okay.
they're very helpful.
And I'll try to keep that on an ongoing old business, so if there's anything new,
Okay,
Yeah,
or concerns that you're having, we can address it.
okay.
yep, send it forward. New business. We'll start off with, use of auxiliary areas, non-fields, and including flag football. I got a request from Seacoast Flag Football about using the field for the fall for their teams. I think that at this point, all the fields are taken for the fall.
Well, the applications are in, so my
Okay.
suggestion is that they can fill out an application.
Okay, okay.
And we make the decision at the scheduled time.
So, one of the things they brought up was, or what I brought up to them, because we have like this list of priorities, and we'll see how things work out, who takes what fields for what, but, there was a short little field, as you're looking across the field, up on the left-hand side, there's like a little area up there. And they said they could use it for scrimmage, but we have to figure out a way, if this does happen, there's two parts of this. One, the prior group of, prior rec committee, we looked into this about maybe moving soccer fields forward and fitting a field out there. Nothing I could do. If Chris comes next meeting, we could address it with him and see if there's any way that we could condense, or not condense, but move things around so they could put a football field-like area. Don't know if that would work, but that's a possibility. And then the other thing is, we should probably think about in the future, because this was brought up, about maybe figuring out a rental fee for that area, if we want to rent out that spit of land.
Yeah, there's a couple of things to unpack here. One, Michael Valpone and I measured the fields last year, 2 years
Yeah.
ago, to see if they could shift, and based on the regulation size of lacrosse and soccer, we can't really move the fields move them closer to the roads or the other direction to create that kind of space.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're looking for games or just practices.
I think they're looking for games. I think they would like to rent a field.
Okay, with regard to practices,
They said that field would work for them, the little spit of
yeah,
land there.
and I think that could work, or the area on the other side of the parking lot, the triangular piece by the sledding hill,
Yeah,
which
Small.
hopefully, it's small, but it's dedicated, it's close. The problem with the hill, is unless you park all the way back there, it's kind of, not the kids are gonna complain that much, but as a coach, lugging equipment,
Yeah.
it kind of is a drag, and you don't have as much access for the kids to get to the bathrooms.
Right.
It's an hour typical practice, so they should be able to plan
Yep.
ahead.
Yep.
As a coach, I know many of them will say, hey, so that's an option, the other one's an option. I don't know, having just passed this, if it's viable to charge for something that it's not in the policy. We'd
no,
have
it's
to
not in the
look at
policy
that.
yet, so that may be something that we have to discuss in the future.
Yeah, at this point in time, because it's not a regulation field, it's not irrigated, and doesn't have the same maintenance schedule, I would, consider anybody could use it at their, and just make sure that they have, the insurance and whatnot.
Yeah, and I'm sort of, I feel that way too. My only thought about that is when I was doing the research for cost of fields throughout the area, what is it, Governor Dummers actually has, Governor's Academy actually has a rough field, and they charge an amount for a rough field, so I know that there's a, you know, I
Precedent for that.
yeah, so, you know, should we not, at this point, it's there.
I agree.
I just, you know, the other part about it is, and maybe we should discuss this, is let's say that they decide to use it, but some kids like to play on that on whatever night, you know, and do we set a permit for it? Is it, should we set a precedent about signing up for a permit for that area so that they have it, but then if we do that, should we be charging for it? Those are some questions that.
You mean like if kids are already playing on it and
Yeah,
decide
let's-
that
I
they
mean,
want
I-
to come
yeah,
play on it?
yeah.
Right.
Well, it's my understanding, again, there are two different issues here. There's a permit for the fields.
Yep.
Even so, those fields are open for public use, and what we're actually giving people is what's called a non-exclusive use. You get to use this when you permit, and that's your time frame.
Yep.
You have priority. If you're not using it, then other people can use it. Those, let's assume that they're all booked. The other spaces, we would need to create something for those auxiliary areas, and that starts running into complications of who gets access to it unless we're going to go for the full permit. And then that becomes another funding thing. My understanding with places like Govs, Pingree, private entities, a lot of them, many of them, I've been told, will have higher fees for it, so they are available, but and the purpose behind that is so people don't think they can just borrow them.
Come and,
Yeah, they're open, but we're gonna make you pay. And the example, it's not a paying example, but the example I like to give people is, there's a giant shoe company out in Oregon that's very, very rich, has lots of money. They built a pool, and the pool is like 2 inches shy of being a 50-meter pool. So people don't want to ask to use it for me, it's because it's not competition level.
Salem State.
And there's a purpose behind what some of these people are doing.
It wasn't Salem State, it wasn't the situation that someone screwed up and made it.
No, this was done intentional to say, we don't want anybody asking us for meats because we're not, you would not conform to the standards, and none of those times would matter. So the idea is there's a purpose why some people are charging what they do, or creating a situation where we don't want.
Yeah, I just, you know, I think that at this point where it hasn't been locked down and, you know, he's, I think he's being proactive by talking to us about field space, but if it's something that he decides that, yeah, he would like to use that space for practices, then we should probably discuss somehow setting some kind of, you know, part
Scheduling,
C,
fee.
yeah.
A fee and a schedule.
So that they could say, okay, we want to have that field during the fall at 6:30 Monday through whatever, that we could lock that in for
it's
them.
more, it's like a consistent
Yeah.
schedule.
The other suggestion, and I've mentioned this before, but this again feeds right into Kent Way.
Yeah.
If we were to create field space there, we could just turn around and say there's
Yeah.
empty space here. In many ways, we wouldn't even need to, in my opinion, need a permit because it's just open.
Yeah.
There's over 5 acres back there that we can do what we need to do. Right now, the suggestion is just clear it for open fields and we can assess what we need.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed or know about the space, it's, you know, you leave here on the left-hand side, it's all woods.
Mhm.
Well, if you take that woods and if you removed all that woods right to the back of the ball field, the baseball field, that's town land, and Mark was part of the group, I think, way back when, that we're.
Well, I was
thinking
part of the original group, but there has been a significant work done to, well, let me back up. The citizens of Newbury took a bond out to purchase that property. At that time, the select committee, because it wasn't the board then, said, yeah, if you want to develop a recreation committee, you raise all the funds. And the idea, they did the Conservation Commission study, they did all kinds of stuff. There's supposed to be 2 additional ball fields, I want to say 6 basketball courts, a kiosk, parking for 25 people, 25 cars. You know, they were trying to do something. A little bit more than I think we need now, and the suggestion has always been, as I'm proposing, is let's create fields that take some parking, create 30, 40 parking spots so that when there are ball games at Pearson Field, all the people playing ball can go in there, and it doesn't impact, they're not taking up the library parking or the parking on Lund Street.
Yeah,
And then
that's
we can
great.
assess what the town needs for recreational, it's bought for recreational purposes, and it's not intended for any other use.
And the cool thing that the problem is just funding to have it done and getting DPW or whoever to clear it out. There'd be access from Kentway, so we'd be pulling Kentway, and our thought was, you know, that we were sort of mulling around is, as Mark said, you know, initially just clear it off, have a rough field, and then parking, and so that alleviates the baseball parking that takes up the library space. You know, in what we do with that big field, you know, maybe at one point dog park, maybe, you know, baseball fields, who knows? But I think that maybe Chris Huntress may have the original plans for that. I'll ask.
I have the.
Oh, you do?
plans,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
But for a future conversation, maybe next year we can consider that.
Yeah, like a plan. A lot of work.
Area.
So I sort of deviated to.
No, that's good.
to
Are they online, those original plans?
No.
Are those plans anywhere? They're just,
they
somebody
were-
has them, you
I
have
got
them.
them out of storage about, what, when did we start, about 8 years ago, 7 years ago? 'Cause
So there's something like what we have, these
Yeah,
like kind of rough.
Like real, I mean,
Yeah,
when they do the plans, I mean, it's, you know.
Oh, okay, so they're like actual plans.
Yeah.
okay.
Actual plans, order conditions, all that stuff.
All right, this is one that, did you guys get an email, did you see the email on the power source about I'm gonna say, illumination of the fields? Right now they pulled out those, look like 1940 searchlights.
Yeah.
Mark talked to the people and they had a couple ideas about what they'd like to do for lighting the fields. And we should sort of, you know, they brought it up. This is
Who did the
the private league, Rush, was it Rush? Or whatever it is now?
The club team
Yep.
asked if there was a power source for them to utilize. They would like to take advantage of newer technology and to the best of our ability, eliminate the petroleum-based generators for lighting. The benefits to it are numerous. One is with newer technology, the lighting is brighter, with less energy being used. The way of the design, there'd be less
Noise.
light pollution going on. We've been the fields have had access to these, let me back it up. The generators that produce the lighting has been in use before, for over 15 years. So it's not as if it's a new request for, I think we would need to get, to support ourselves, additional support from the select board. But the idea, it's been going on, they typically turn them off by an 8 o'clock shut off.
Yeah, this is a fall thing, not a summer thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm making the assumption,
Yeah.
planning ahead.
Yeah.
It'd be a cleaner source so that the exhaust from the, I think it's diesel.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not sure,
would
but the
assume so.
exhaust from the combustion engine isn't near the kids. There isn't any, it's power. This particular model that I was looking at is battery operated, so my guess is, unfortunately, because I didn't get enough notification to Danielle and North Shore Rush to be here, they had other obligations today, so on me that they're not here to talk further about it. But what I'd like people to do is, everybody have a copy of this?
Yes.
If you can go to this website for South Star, look at some of their products, so we're a bit more familiar with them. and I will ask DPW to do the same to get a sense of what their thoughts are. Again, I don't know if it's, they're looking at the battery-powered ones and how batteries would be recharged.
So this was given by Rush
Yep.
as like a suggestion.
When I asked, I would like to see more details about
Right.
exactly what you're asking. This is the website that she presented to me, so we all have it now. We get familiar with the products and what they do, with benefits and negative stuff. Again, she was asking for an electrical source. My assumption is they would like to have something nearby to recharge the batteries. One product I was looking at illuminates for 2.5 hours at a time, and that's typically what they're going to use in the evening from from say 6 or 5 o'clock in late November, mid-November.
Yeah, I mean, it could be 4:30, it starts getting dark.
Yeah, so
And
just extend it to
Yeah,
a little bit later. We would be able to work with them about, I believe, we would be able to work with them about limiting the time so it doesn't impact our neighbors.
I think that would be something that, when, if things work out that this might be a possibility, we'd have to cover all those boundaries. One, bring it up, I would assume, to the select board and say, hey, this is, we wanna have parameters that we'll have lights on until 8 o'clock, so that, that we have that locked in so that neighbors don't hate us. And I think they'd be happy not hearing or the grumbling of and that's a good thing. The only concern that I have is just the power source, how, and who's gonna use them. Rush is gonna buy them, so is it just for Rush? Is Triton Youth gonna do it? Is Triton Lacrosse gonna do it? Whatever the fall sports, and then who's paying for the electricity to charge those up? Because last year how electric costs were so high.
So Rush is buying these? I
Well,
wasn't clear on that. Or are we buying these?
My belief, based on the way I read the letter, is that Rush made an inquiry about a power source
Yeah,
for them
For them
to
lights.
use.
Yep.
Which to me implies that they would be making this acquisition.
yeah, they
So
would
they
buy
would
it.
purchase it
Yeah,
in
and
power?
so they were looking for a power source.
I just want to make
Yeah.
certain.
But then,
that I
right,
understand.
like, so did they only get to exclusively
Yeah,
bring and
yeah,
use them?
yeah.
Or
so-
they could determine who would use it would be,
Right.
it wouldn't, because it's their property.
Yeah, because we're not purchasing it.
Do
So,
you know how
yeah,
much these cost her?
No, I don't.
No.
But that's something, again, we can all check into.
Yeah. yeah,
Thanks.
and,
And we're talking this for Central Street.
yeah,
Yes.
um,
So I think we just do our own research and
Yeah.
at the next meeting, ask them to come to present and we will have this information, and if you want to do any additional research, be able to have a better conversation about it.
yeah, and it may be something, I don't think, but it may be something that, if they're not overly expensive, we have all these projects coming up, but, maybe something that would work with the basketball courts or something like that for pickleball during the later evening. But, it's interesting, I like the idea of having a battery powered.
And I like how
It looks fairly simple, doesn't it?
yes, and it also directs
Yeah.
the light where it needs to be. Am I remembering, no, this is probably old, but wasn't there a lighting issue at the baseball field or something?
There is.
There was,
Not
there
to
is, there
segue,
always
but I
will
just,
be.
yeah.
It may not always
No,
will be,
maybe not
but,
always.
yeah, maybe not always. Yeah,
What baseball field at the library?
the library,
At the library.
long story, but. It's like, it's kind
You have
of,
to
it may
request
be
a quote.
like dog
Oh.
leashes, dog leashes in Byfield or Newbury. So it's one of those things, do you wanna touch it, you wanna get burned if you touch it, maybe not,
So
never bring up
Ben
dog
just
leashes, but Newbury.
Google this, you have to get a quote.
Yeah,
So
you just send
I
it.
wouldn't suggest all of us Googling and
Yeah.
creating quotes. Does that make sense for this? Do we?
Yeah, I'm sure that they have I'm sure there's other versions online that we could look into. Should we?
Well, this place here, because
Yeah.
he just Googled it, the South
Yeah,
Star
and they want
Systems.
your email to get a quote,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, just press it on.
Yeah, I'm okay with
Yeah, if you want
asking
to,
them.
absolutely,
That's-
absolutely.
I just don't want us all to,
Yeah.
you know.
I would volunteer, but I probably wouldn't get it done.
Yeah, so I'll do that, that's easy enough.
Excellent.
So I'll just find out how much.
Alright,
this-
well, we'll put that
Yes.
on old business for next, next meeting. What else is there? Submission of letter if interested in continuing your service to community. I think what that means is we wanna continue on the rec committee, unless you wanna join another group.
Coming down the pipeline will be a request from the select board for those who want to
To
continue.
renew for another,
Your,
is it yearly or 2 years? I think it's 2 years, right?
yearly.
Is it yearly?
We're a yearly
Each-
one.
Oh, I thought it was 2 years.
My understanding that once you've been appointed and you've served a year, you don't have to keep going to their meetings.
For 6 more years.
That you can just submit it, they know who you are, and then there you go.
You have to do a minimum of 6 years. So when you're at school, you have to come back. It's gotta pay.
So just a reminder, the request will be coming if you'd like to submit it, just get ahead of the game, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. You just send a note to the selectman saying, hey, it's online. I would like to re-up my position on the recreation committee. And it's fairly easy. You're around for another year, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So you still would need to submit.
Yeah.
Where they do, we are shy seats to begin with, so it's an ongoing, but usually they'd like to have it, I believe for the June,
Yeah.
first meeting in
So
June.
we should do it this month.
I would suggest doing it this month, one way so that we know.
Sorry, I was just thinking like, oh, okay, that's like a few months away.
Yeah, I was
but-
like,
Yeah,
oh,
no,
it's
it really
already
isn't.
on.
I know,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
So I know it sounds like, oh yeah, you can just do, no, like I.
It's like the minutes, let me
I
tell
need-
you.
I need 2 days, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm very.
And it's really, I mean, like I said, it's as simple
So this is
as,
something you should do this week.
yeah,
Yeah,
and you
well-
just, and you just go online and
Yeah.
you'll see, Board of Selectmen, you can send an email and you just say, hey, I'm, whoever, and I'd like to continue for another year or whatever the appointment is.
And if we have a sense of how many are returning, hopefully everybody, we can then say, oh, we need try to get 2 more members.
Yeah.
It would be nice and beneficial to have a couple more people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you email the board of selectors?
Yeah,
Selectmen
yeah.
directly.
So-
yeah.
Select board.
Select
Not-
board.
No
Select-
more men, just
Yeah,
select.
select board.
Select board.
Yeah, it's on the website.
So an action item for all of us
Yeah.
is to renew our
Yes.
seats.
Yeah, for all of us,
Yes,
for all of us,
for all.
for us, like,
For all
there's a
of
little
us.
waiver here.
Yes, for all of us.
Yeah, what do we have here?
Summer maintenance schedule.
Summerfield maintenance schedule, I have no idea what that is.
In years past, there's 2 parts to this. In years past, one field would be set aside, would be closed for the summer, so DPW can do extensive work, basically reseed it, that specifically, and get a thicker turf in place. And we wanted to, and the idea was, in the old days, the Triton High School captain's practices would have their women, or girls, and men, boys, soccer teams play there. They don't do it now, I don't know why, but we would say, oh, field 3 is closed permanently for the summer unless something major comes up that we can rent it to somebody. But we usually get 1 or 2 summer requests for a short week of soccer.
Yep.
And it's usually field, say, 1 and 3, closer to the field house. We can move around however it is, but if we could touch bases with DPW
Yep.
and get them or us on a schedule to do that. So every year we know 1 is being closed, next year 2's closed, and now we run a 5-year cycle or a 4-year cycle, whatever we need, whatever they think is.
Yeah, that's a DPW thing. Just by the way, I use the bathrooms up there, and flushing, I'm not concerned, but a little bit concerned, so I don't know if that's an emergency situation, but maybe it's something we should have I don't know, what do you think about in the discussion on,
It sounds like it's, with the care and maintenance of the building, it sounds like time sensitive because
Yeah.
it's not on the agenda. So
I think we should maybe vote on contacting DPW and, I don't know about what the cost would be. I think, I really don't know what the cost would be. Maybe $1,000, is that high, to have the septic?
I would go higher,
Right.
to be a commercial one, I think.
Yeah, so let's
So
say
we were talking about pumping the septic?
septic, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I think we talked about that in October.
Okay,
We, I think we did, but it,
I think we kind of, yeah,
something's happening now. They could inspect it, get a pump, so we're starting clean.
yeah, and I think, because we haven't done it yet, and
Okay,
this is in
so-
the beginning,
alright.
so.
let's, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, so I think that, I would suggest, I'd like to make a recommendation that we, put forward $2,000, to have the septic pump at the field house, as soon as possible. Anyone like to second that motion?
I'll second it.
Any discussion on that?
Yeah, I would go up higher, because we don't need to spend it all,
Okay,
because I don't want, I think we'd be remiss if DPW came back and said, oh, it's 2,500. I
Okay.
don't think it will be, I think it's gonna be 1,500 at tops.
all right, I'll make a motion to,
Just one minute, okay.
to move the number up to $3,000 to have the septic system pumped at, the Central Street recreational fields.
Yeah, and then again, going forward, we could set up a regular every other year we get it, so we can, again.
Well, yeah, find out if it's something, once they do it, they may say it's full, you're pushing it, then we could say, okay, it should be done an annual thing, and we put that in our.
Yeah, we'll have hopefully next year we'll have a spending plan where we can allocate our monies to all these things, and we know how much we have for discretionary spending.
Yep.
At the end of the year.
Okay,
What if the issue's not, like, how do we know it's definitely just the pump, this is the,
What happens if?
no,
there's another plumbing
I
issue?
assume it's just, well, we'll find that out as it is, but I think that right now, it's like the prudent thing to do is just to
Yeah,
pump it. And it may just be, that's just a noisy, but it'd rather be proactive than not. So, a second on that motion to bring it up to $3,000?
Yeah, second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
fine.
All right,
Just
Mark,
one question, is
good.
that a bill that I should be seeing, or is that going through DPW? I'm just.
The DPW should be forwarding it to us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I should see that though.
Yeah,
Okay.
so what happens is that we will get in contact with them, they will,
Right, no,
they will
yeah, I
prepare
kinda
it,
get the-
and then you
yeah.
know the routine, it comes back, so it will come back through them.
So if I don't see it, does that, by like next meeting, should I assume that it didn't happen? It sounds like
No,
a
don't
company.
make that assumption.
Yeah,
So
Um,
who should if I don't see it in the next couple of weeks, who should I reach out to, you or
yeah, send out
or
an email,
DPW? Just
yeah,
Well, what we'll do is, I will write tonight a letter, a notice to Julie to inform DPW and request this service. I will CC you, David, and you, Mary.
Okay, and then that way I can see
within
the.
that, I will
the
say,
email.
uh, please ask DPW to forward the
The bill.
associated cost to you.
Cool.
Review previously submitted funding requests, addressing new requests,
Yes, there were a couple things that were put forward, like the water fountain. If we wanted to convert what's in there now from just a bubbler
yes,
to the
yes, yes.
one with the,
Yep.
they could fill up your water bottles.
Yes.
Sent that out. That was like 25 plus whatever, that was back then. So I would assume it's a little bit higher plus plumbing costs. If that's something, there's a number of them that we put out. And again, some of it is contingent on the master plan.
Yep.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
If that's included in,
You know, that would be the bridge, this is
Yeah, that might actually fall under.
So are we talking like an outside water filler?
Well,
Or anything?
Probably where the bubbler is right now,
Yeah,
John?
right. The simplest would be to take out what's there.
So we're not talking about one of the ones that go inside the.
That would go inside where they are. Ideally, it would be outside, I'd love to see it outside, so kids aren't going in and creating something, plus it's more visible. There was concerns that people would manipulate it to fill water jugs, like a 5-gallon.
Yep.
Which was really hard to do, but that was a concern, I'm bringing that forward.
Yeah, and then there's, I don't know.
And so it's just the plumbing of the way it's currently designed. They would have to redo piping, and that starts becoming time sensitive and expensive.
Yeah, I think that having it inside will reduce the chance, if we go in that direction on the next one, I think that having it inside will reduce the chance of someone bringing in the 5-gallon. It's not as much an issue. The island doesn't need water anymore, because I remember before there was always a spigot at the beginning of Plum Island.
Yes.
That's when Newburyport did their water system, that's all taken care of.
I believe so.
Okay. Just concerned of someone using that as a water source and bringing a 5-gallon container, and we're paying for someone's drinking water. So I think that having it inside will sort of deter that.
So we're talking inside thing.
Inside, some of it has to do with weather. It would only be
I
operational.
mean, I think an inside thing makes better sense, but
Yeah.
I'm just
Yes,
not sure, because
clarify,
if we're
yes.
talking outside or
Yeah.
inside, so I'm still
Inside.
unclear. So we're talking like an inside,
Where there
Water,
currently
yeah.
is a water bubbler
Yeah,
between
yeah.
the men's and the women's room. Basically replacing that with one that is a water bottle filler.
Or unless, in case that we could, because the plumbing's already there, whether there's enough space, and again, I haven't been in that
they
building
have
for a long
both,
time.
right?
What's that?
They have both, they have like a water, like a,
Yeah.
They have a
Yes.
handicap accessible
Not-
water fountain and bubbler.
right, but what I'm saying is that you have, it does both, right, Ben? Have you
Yeah,
seen it?
there's like, somewhere like it's a
It fills a bottle
bubbler
and
and
you
with
can,
water.
and you can.
The one
All right, I'm
at
confused
Dancer?
No.
No, not here, we're just talking in general.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
it would
okay.
have to be,
It does both.
we'd have to get one that does both of those services,
Yeah.
yes.
Right, right.
Bottle and, so that, yes.
Okay, so it may be just something as simple as, if there's space next to the one we have, they can just put it in there.
Or they just swap it, I think it's like maybe, I don't
Swap
know.
out, like a
Yeah.
unit that
Yeah.
swaps.
And that could be part of the letter, ask
Yeah.
DPW to
Yeah.
look, and then we can vote on it and
Yeah.
ask them to.
Okay, cool.
Do we have to guess at the cost, or is that
I-
inquired to DPW first?
A couple of months ago, I put in, provided everybody with a copy of the ad hoc discretionary spending form, and I think it was like $2,100. It was at the time when I did the original research for the, it's, who's the company, EK?
Yeah,
LK or something like that.
yep.
Yeah, 2138.
Look at you.
Yeah, that's it.
Would we have to do the filters? Because those things do not last long. We haven't
Right.
tried them, they turn red like every
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
it's true.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
and then,
No, we won't filter it, just,
well, if it's like my refrigerator, you don't get water.
Right. Mhm.
no, you just
Or
look,
it just turns red.
you just look at the red light.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that, again, that would be part of the annual spending fuel that we would set aside.
Yeah.
$50 a cartridge, we'll get one a month, and boom.
So, I guess the question is this something we're voting on, or is this something that we should put on the burner until the next time?
Let's ask DPW if it's feasible
Okay,
and practical, and get
Alright.
their take on it,
okay,
and then we can move forward at the
Alright.
next meeting and see if we can't get it.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, we already met with the Triton Civics class. I'm sorry for having a speech problem tonight,
That's-
but there's a lot of things I can't say. Triton Civics class, they were great coming in. We'll see how that works out. And anything else, I think that covers new business. You wanna call it a night?
No, we have one more thing.
Did I miss something?
Number 8.
I didn't see an 8, I
The
see
next meeting?
7.
Yeah,
The next meeting.
I took your advice. Date and time is listed.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
I felt so proud of
I'm
myself.
sorry, I was moving on to that.
I knew. I was like,
Cause I do that every time. Date and time, the next meeting.
It's June.
That is so crazy. That is so
This
crazy.
is crazy.
How,
So if,
Go ahead, I'll talk to you.
Okay, so yeah, the next meeting would be June, that would be the end of our,
Assignment?
our,
Tenor.
our fiscal year. So all of our bills need to be in, so if we wanted to vote on something, and Mary, may I suggest talking to the accountant if we need to encumber any monies to pay for something that comes later, a bill that comes later, please talk to the accountant.
Mhm.
Make that
So-
happen.
The June meeting, we can vote on, if we have money in the account, I don't wanna like spend everything, but if we have money in the account, we could possibly pay for the water bubbler, pay for other things, we could vote on it that night, and it would be in last year's,
It'd be in
budget.
this year's budget,
Yeah,
so long as they provide the service, or we've made
request,
made the request.
okay, which is good.
Yeah,
Alright.
and that's what I wanna
Yeah.
figure out with the monies for DPWs, and,
Okay.
yeah.
Alright, so, I don't know how June 5th works, which is a Monday night, unless someone wants to do another night.
That looks pretty.
It's my husband's birthday.
Okay, well, let's go
You
June.
can celebrate it here?
You want my 2-year-old here by
Oh,
my
I
birthday?
love-
don't think so.
June 12th, does June 12th work?
That doesn't give us a lot of time to make the if there's any acquisitions that we wanna use.
Alright, so,
The-
do you guys wanna try another night, like a Tuesday or Wednesday night? Anybody have problems with a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday night?
When does the select board use this one?
Tuesday, is that right?
Yes,
Oh, let's,
every other
I don't
Tuesday.
know, they do a 2-week, and I don't know if
Yeah.
that 2-week,
Here's the better question. If part of this conversation is the work with the consultant, that would help dictate when he can
Yeah.
be here. In that light, do we want to make a short meeting if there's any acquisitions that we want to get in this fiscal year? Do we have a meeting earlier to give DPW or whomever's making the acquisition on our behalf adequate time to make it?
So we're talking like May 22nd?
Yeah, if we look through the discretionary spending forms that we've sent out or anything else, we could just earmark a meeting for a half an hour. Here's what we're looking at.
okay. That sounds great.
And then that way it doesn't interfere with, if we can get the consultant in at our regular time.
So let's plan on, if this works for everyone, May 22nd, for a half hour. A short meeting, and then we'll resume our regular meeting June 12th. Does that work for everyone? Tentatively? And I know things come up.
And that would be focusing on the master plan.
Yes, June 12th, the master plan.
Well, what if he can't do that night?
We will,
Can we ask him to send us
yeah, we'll
some
do plan.
documentation
We'll do-
for us to,
Yeah.
at least so we
Right.
can engage in a conversation?
Yeah, we'll do plan B, if that's the case, we'll figure that out, but let's do tentatively, the
So
22nd.
5:22 for 30 minutes, and that's really gonna be focusing on bills and,
You're making sure our financial house is in order.
okay.
And then the 12th would be the other one. And then we'll hate each other because we see each other that much, but
Well,
it
it's
is,
still only 3 weeks, so.
I guess.
And yeah, I'm just looking at the one right now, there's a couple others out there, but some of it was, like the ice skating rink.
Yep.
We can talk about that as part of our planning for next year.
I guess too, like looking through my past notes, and these things, and this doesn't have to be a full discussion for this, but just bringing up like random things we've talked about that I have no idea if they've been addressed, like cleat scraper, sandwich board,
Yes.
like random
Yeah.
sort of things like
Cleat
that.
scraper, we need to get, the sandwich board I've asked DPW to get that.
Okay,
So yeah, we wanna make sure all that
it's like in a
stuff.
pretty bow, tied up in a
Yep.
pretty bow.
Alright,
Pretty, you know.
Yes,
tied up
All
in a pretty
tied up
bow,
in a
I get it,
pretty
yeah,
bow.
Yes.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
and I agree, pretty both.
That's right, we both do. Mike, you've been, Mark, you've been overruled. I threw the mic in for the past gentleman. Alright, so we picked the time for the meetings,
Yep.
2 meetings.
6 o'clock.
And I say that we call this meeting, I make a motion to call an end of the meeting at 7:03. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No discussion? Let's do it. Liz, turn off that machine.